morning, good afternoon, good evening, anywhere you're hearing me from all over the world. Welcome back to Let's Just Talk. It's your host, Victoria. And I'm back with it again as usual. But we meet today, we have another guest who is going to be talking about a lot of mental health and the likes of it with us. And with me today, I have Miss Juliet. I'm not going to give too much introduction about her. I'm going to let her introduce herself to everybody listening. You got the floor, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliet Doro, and I am a hairstylist, an entrepreneur, and a single mother of one. So I think that's about it.
Guys, okay, she didn't really do it right because I'm gonna tell you guys everything. She's an entrepreneur, she's a businesswoman, she's a hairstylist, she's an insurance person, she deals with real estates. Should I keep mentioning?
I
But yeah,
can
she's an all in one.
talk about mental health.
I mean, we're still gonna tell them everything you do either ways because they have to know. Like, we got strong women out there, so they
Yeah.
need to know. So she
I,
does everything, guys.
myself, a five.
Right, master of all trades, jack of all trades, like they say. But yeah, so moving on. Can you please do a better introduction about yourself and share a little bit about your experience and expertise with dealing with stigma on mental health?
Okay. Again, my name is Juliet, and I'm a single mother of a beautiful princess. I am a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, like they say. I do almost everything. I do hair. I sell life insurance. I try to engage in everything. I'm also a nursing student. So I do have personal experiences about mental health and also everyday life experiences. So I might not be an expert in this, but I do have my own 2 cents to share.
Right, right. Okay, so as we know, you're not an expert, but you have your own experiences and you have people around you who have experienced mental health breakdowns and the likes of it, and they've had stigmas that they had to deal with and everything. So, can you kind of share with us how you've witnessed the progress in reducing stigma around mental health over the years? And what do you think still needs to be done in that field?
Um, Growing up and being around a lot of people, especially in the society where I grew up, it's a lot of stigma surrounding mental health. Um, Starting from being a woman yourself, there's a lot of stigma. Like if you dress a certain way and you talk a certain way, they label you, tend to label you for like label you something. I'm not gonna say the word. And also you cannot express yourself like freely as a woman.
Right.
And that has a lot of impact on your health. Like when you don't have a say per se, it affects your health also.
Right.
And the society where I grew up, they don't think depression is a thing. They don't
Right.
think anxiety and depression is a thing, and that alone is stigma alone. Or should I say, is it a stigma like self-inflicted stigma? Like what
Right.
people are going to think about me when I say this, when I do this. That's what I call the self-inflicted stigma. That's no longer stigma from people. That's stigma you put on yourself.
Right.
So that alone makes you don't want to be open or be free to be yourself, to do the things that makes you happy because of fear of what people would say or what your family would say or what your friends would say or what people at church would say. Those are some of the things that really affects people's mental health. And I think the best way to reduce it is knowing who you are and what you can tolerate and educating yourself on mental health, knowing the things that you know you can do. Talk to the right people, and also educate people around you who are willing to learn, to know what you're struggling with, what you're going through. The
right.
right, I said the right people because some people would just want to hear you just to judge you, but there's some people who would want
They
to
just want to
listen,
see you break down.
understand you, and know how to live with you. And you know, I think the major thing about on reducing it is just getting to know you and what you're dealing with, getting to know what mental struggles you have. And sometimes you cannot know by yourself without talking to a professional or without talking to someone who's been had this similar experiences. And also watching videos, reading books, that can also help as well to educate yourself and help to reduce the stigma in mental health.
Right. Right. So, can you kind of give us like insights to the impact um, that stigma on individuals seeking help for mental health? Like, so when you go, so for instance, I'm gonna put myself in the picture right now. I am dealing with mental health issues. So for I don't want to use this example because it's kind of controversial, but I'm putting myself in this shoe. I'm dealing with a mental health issue, and I am going to see like an African therapist or a Nigerian therapist. What is the stigma that comes with expressing what I am dealing with? And how can I combat it? How can I fight that stigma that comes with expressing it? Because I mean, their profession, they always take a oath not to judge or make you feel little of yourself. But the fact that I know that I'm going to see a Nigerian therapist, automatically I know there is something coming up. Like they're gonna look at me some kind of way. Automatically. Even if it's outside their profession, they are going to look at me some kind of way. So how do you think we can combat that stigma as humans? And this is not just Nigerians. This happens to other cultures, to Asians, to the Haitis, to Americans even. As much as we say they're open, they're in the Western world, they allow a lot of stuff. There are some American therapists or psychologists that still look at the other people different. Because I'm saying this because I work with the mental health factor and sector. I mean, and I see a lot of things. I see a lot of things. I don't deal with the mental health people, but I see a lot. And I hear a lot of how Americans treat the mental health people who are also Americans like they are. So how do you think we can combat that, fight it, and get over the stigma?
That's a very sensitive. How do I put it? Okay, I don't think there's a way that you can combat it because it's a broad um, sector. It's a broad topic to be discussed on. There are different levels to mental health. There are people who are suffering from anxiety, depression, eating disorders, schizophrenia, um, uh, bipolar disorders. There's so many things people suffer every day. And some people are fighting with themselves. And also, I don't think you would ever try to fight it if you don't make known, like you don't tell yourself that you know who you are. There's no in this world, whether you are good at doing something or you're not good at doing something, people tend to always talk. People tend to always see some negativity in something. That's something I've come to accept.
Right,
That
right,
like a Nigerian person, there's no way you can go to a Nigerian therapist unless the person is very professional and puts away whatever culture or whatever thing differences, whatever thing that they learned growing up from Nigeria, and say, okay, I want to listen to this person and really help this person. But so many times I've spoken to some people, like some Nigerian therapists as well, while I was trying to find myself, and the responses I get, I felt judged. That's my own experience. Nigerians, Africans, and some people, human beings, period, I think their brain is wired to just judge people. It takes a lot of intelligence and empathy to not judge.
Right.
So, um, when you ask the question like, how do you deal with it, or combat it, I think the best way to combat to fight this whole stigma thing when talking to a therapist that's judgmental is just know the person that works for you. If you think the person saying something that hurts your feelings and you're not being heard, you're not being helped, no, just avoid the person. Stop talking to the person. Find another person that works for you. Find another person to talk to. Because no matter how many um, judgmental people there are also some good people who wants to help, who are caring and listening.
Right. Right.
So the best way to combat it,
Yeah.
know yourself, help yourself, do the things that can work for you first, and then when talking to an external person, you know that you're getting help, but you don't really their opinions does not really define you. But for people suffering with anxiety
Right.
and depression, like I can go tell a Nigerian mother or a Nigerian professional that, hey, I just thought about this and I felt like I'm in a whole box. It's too much on me. The stress is too much on me. Guess what they're gonna tell me? Don't be crazy, daddy crazy. You're going mad. Oh, you can handle it. Are you the first person that has experienced this before? Oh, please, it's gonna pass.
Right.
Like they just shun you. They don't care about how you feel. They don't want to talk about how you feel. And I think that comes from our ancestors, like the way they live their life. They don't dwell on the problem. They just move forward without finding solution. But nowadays, I thank God for science and technology and good counselors that come up with ways to help people suffering the stigma of mental health. So, like I said before, educating yourself, knowing when to relax, knowing who's good for you and who's good to you, and who's willing to help you, as long as you're willing to seek help. And if you are spiritual, I would say pray to God also for God to give you the spirit of discernment and help you through that process. But if you're not a Christian and you believe in one thing or another, you pray to that thing that you pray to. But as a Christian, I believe that the Word of God, the Bible, is there to help you fight whatever thing that you're going through.
Right. True. So I'm gonna switch a little into like your personal experiences. So as a single mother, yeah, there is a lot of criticizing and look down that comes with being a single mom because I go through the same, right? So and that automatically one way or another affects our mental health. It
Mm-hmm.
depletes how we see ourselves. It kind of one way or another, even if we want to avoid the fact that, well, it don't make me look less than myself, it one way makes you feel less than who you really are. Being amongst people who don't have kids or who are married with kids, and you're like the only person, or you're one of 10 people with a child and not a spouse. You understand what I'm saying? How do you how has that really dealt with your mental health, and what are like the barriers that come with that part of you dealing with that mental, that part of you that deals with the mental part? What's the barrier, and how do you conquer it? How do you snap back into being yourself? How do you get your guards back up? How do you move away from it? How do you handle it?
Again, I'm gonna say that it has to do with knowing yourself.
Right.
Like when I found out that I was pregnant, I had severe anxiety. for no reason. Fear of me not being accepted by my family or by my society. When I say no reason, I say no reason because at the end of the day, it was my family that stood by me through thick and thin. So that brings up anxiety, a lot of anxiety and depression because even after having the baby, you feel like um, I'm supposed to be having my husband out, helping me out here. You know, uh, I mean, the life is more civilized now compared to before, where they tend to really judge people who have kids out of wedlock, who have been single mothers. Um, my case is I had my child out of wedlock, so I always want to have my. I prepared my mind for what was coming. I educated myself, and I know myself enough to know that
Right.
if I see someone start talking about, oh, my husband this or my husband that, or if you're talking too much on one specific topic to make me feel like being I'm doing the wrong thing being a single mother, I avoid you, I cut you off. That's what I do. Instead I stop talking to you. If you are my
Right.
family and you say, oh, uh, you're supposed to be in your husband's house, but you are there, you have a child, you cannot even do this, you cannot do that. Or I see other women who are with their husbands taking care of their babies, and then I think back, I start feeling like, oh, I should have had this. But nowadays I really don't feel that way. Whenever I see that, I'm
Right.
like, oh wow, that's good. I'm happy for you. I cultivated that mindset for myself. I had to change my mindset from thinking, oh, this person said this, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing that. I had to create a new mindset, and I asked myself, who really made those rules? Who said that you have to have this, you have to have that? Who made those rules? Nobody.
Right. Right.
So I asked myself,
Yeah.
hey,
It's just
are you
mindset. I
happy?
think like
Can you feed yourself? Can you clothe yourself? Can you meet your daily needs? Yes. Is your daughter happy and well raised? Yes. Is she loved by you and your family people, like those people that really matters, that you hold dear? Yes. So why will I be depressed? But no shade to those people who are feeling anxiety and depression after having kids. I'm not showing any shade, but what I'm trying to say, if you're having or facing any of that, you ever feel less of
right.
yourself? Because I did feel less of myself one time, but I you ever feel less of yourself? You gotta talk to somebody. I had a go to when I was feeling that way. I had someone I was talking to, and that person was willing to listen. That person was willing to encourage me,
Right.
telling me things to do to take good care of myself and not just let myself go. Because when that low self esteem kicks in, that's it. It's a wrap. You just let yourself
Right.
go. That's when you start binge eating or doing unnecessary things to hurt yourself. But then when you have the right people you're talking to, they're gonna set you back out on the right path. So I started asking myself, Julia, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough? And my answer was like, yes, I love myself. Okay, then why are you hurting yourself by staying down? Find something to take care of yourself. Just get rid of negativity.
Right.
That's
Right.
it for
I
myself.
feel like in this present right, I feel like it's just really how we see ourselves, you know? Like in this present time and age, people don't they're not open to the possibility of change. Because in this age, I have seen a lot of ladies who has the opportunity to get married, but they tell you no, I just want kids. They don't want to get married. But I feel like people are not open to the opportunity of change and everything. So they see people who are actually going through that change as you don't know what you're doing. Because I mean when I became a single mom, I just didn't become a single mom out of nowhere. I was with somebody. So, but situation got to the point where we couldn't be together anymore. So we had to go our separate ways, either ways. So, like, so, okay, let me put it this way. Nigerians see it as, now talking about just single moms right now, they see it as, why would you become a single mom? You had a partner before you got pregnant. Whatever the situation is, face it head on. Even if it's abuse, emotional, physical, mental, whatever, they don't care. They want you to face it head on. They want you to get through it, even if you're being hit on, you're being beaten, you're being cheated on, you're being insulted. They feel like you should still face it just because of whatever kind of image they're protecting. And I feel in this century, we just need to change a lot of things. Like, just for the sake of the kids we have coming up. Because
Well,
I'm a big fan and support of marriage and all of that. But then I feel we should still educate ourselves and the people coming just for the worst. If you gotta be a single parent, if you gotta stay without your partner, do this, do that, handle this way, handle it that way. Because at the end of the day, if we don't do that, we're all just gonna keep making the same mistake that you made and we're making. And our kids are gonna make the same mistake, and their kids are still gonna make the same mistake, and the kids after theirs, like, it's gonna continue generationally if we do not educate ourselves on the worst that could actually happen. I mean, what's your take on that? Because that's the way I see it. Because I mean, the worst is yet to happen. The worst is really yet to happen. With the way this generation is growing, the worst is yet to happen.
so I mean, I agree with what you said, but however, it's all like I said. It all starts with you. Your kids, your new generation to come, will only do the things that they see you do. There's no
Right.
way that you're going to learn to love yourself and choose the right things for yourself, and that kid will go and choose something else. Although, some rare cases, some kids tend to be stubborn and try to experience this for themselves. But many times, I don't know, I cannot say about statistics because I'm not that up to date with statistics yet. But I would say that if you, I mean, you are the prime example, you're the prime role model for your kids and for your generation to come that's coming through you. And if you are doing something negative with yourself and hurting yourself, it has a negative impact on those kids. And 85% of time out of 100%, those kids tend to, follow the same road, the same trail. But if you had a child out of wedlock and that child grew up seeing you taking care and loving her and loving yourself, and you set some boundaries to yourself, the child is not going to see that my mom had me out of wedlock. Even though the truth, it's a fact that she was born out of wedlock, but the child is going to see how you treat yourself outside after having them, how you love yourself and how you love on them, and the next partner that's to come.
Right.
So treating yourself, it all has to do with, again, educating yourself, reading books,
Right.
taking a walk, doing things that would elevate your mind,
Right.
doing the things that would elevate your mind and
Right.
set your mind in a good space.
Yeah. I totally support that. And shoot, yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
They learn from you, so
And the
you
kids
have to
nowadays
put
are not
that.
like
You
our
have to
generation.
lay that foundation.
Kids nowadays are not like kids from our generation. Oh,
Right.
or kids from the 1980s. Kids nowadays are smart. They didn't call them the Gen Z kids for no reason. They are smart. They catch on things fast. They understand things faster than you think. I mean, this those kids are amazing, and the best thing that we can do as parents is start the work on ourselves, so that the generation to come will
Yeah.
not be worse than what we thought it could be.
Right. Right. You're right. You are too right. Because, I mean, these kids are smart. I tell you, my daughter just, she does some things sometimes, and I'm like, huh? Like, she does some things, and I'm blown off. Like, what? At what age? Like, what? But yeah, these kids are really, really smart. They catch on real fast. And
Yeah.
kudos to every parent out there doing the right thing for themselves and their kids. And to those who aren't even doing the right things yet, there's a lot of help out there. Talk to people who are really ready to listen to you and ready to help. But kudos to every parent out there, really. So back to what we're talking about. Self-care is often mentioned as an essential part of maintaining mental well-being. So as a beautician that you are, could you provide us some practical self-care tips or techniques that the listeners can incorporate into their daily lives? Because I mean, they say self-care is a very big part of maintaining your mental health or snapping back into reality and all of that. So can you just give our listeners a little bit of tips and techniques they can put into their daily lives?
Okay. First of all, self care is not just about taking care of the physical part of your body. Self care is taking care of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual part of you. You need those three parts of you to be working well for you to be normal. If one is not functioning well, then that's where you need to start um, finding solutions and solving some problems. So, some form of self care. Um, I think the major forms of self care that I really practice was relaxation. I When I'm under stress and I know that I'm beginning to lose it, I find myself relaxing. So relaxation is one of the best form of self care. And some things that you can do to relax could be
Right.
meditation, reading a book, um, yoga, listening to good music, going to the salon to get your hair pampered, looking good, getting your nails done, getting your lashes fixed to wax your brows, get a good massage, or go on a mini vacation somewhere by the beach. Those are some things that I consider as a form of relaxation for me. I don't know for any other person out there. You can just find out the things that helps you relax and just do it. And I promise you, you're gonna get good results.
Yeah, cause
And
go ahead.
after relaxation, I
Because
tend
for
to,
me,
you know, relaxation then brings about recharge. No, relaxation brings about release. It helps you release the negativity. So when you relax, you tend to release all those stress. You tend to release whatever thing that's been putting you in a box, whatever fight that's been going up in your head, in your mind. You relax and you release. And sometimes releasing could be another form of like you doing something. Could be golfing or dancing. Sometimes when I'm done relaxing and I want to release some of those negativity, I just find myself playing music, dancing, singing karaoke. Um, if you're spiritual like me, I pray because even the Bible tells me that when I lay all my burdens to Him, He's there to help me take it up. So I released that burden. I lay it up
Right.
in front of him at the altar, or you the altar in my home, and I just release it. And when I'm done with that, guess what comes next? I'm recharged. Recharge means like
You're recharging.
you will just have that kind of who's like everything that was cluttering in my mind that was fighting me is just tends to go away, and I'm ready to start again, and I'm up again, all
Right.
happy, and you know, I mean, it's something that you just have to keep doing continually. Find a way to relax, release, and recharge yourself. Find the things that makes you happy. Could be traveling, could be swimming, could be going to a good restaurant and eat your favorite meal. Could be as a hairstylist, I see people every day,
Right.
and they come to me and they talk about all their stress, all what they're going through. I'm more like a therapist to them, even though I'm not a licensed therapist. But guess what? When they leave, and those people who are good enough to call me back, they call me and was like, "Girl, I feel much better. I look good. I feel good, and nothing anybody gonna say about this." Like it's like I bring back
Right.
that me girl. I'm back. So
Right.
some people are just suffering from
Hmm.
self-esteem issues, anxiety. When they get to relax, release, and recharge, it really helps with their mental health. It does. So find those things that can help you relax,
Yes, it sure
the things
does.
that you need to release. Talk. Sometimes releasing is also writing a journal, you know, expressing your thoughts, expressing how you feel. It could be like I don't like writing, so what I do, I just have that voice note, and I start talking. Some people think if you hear me and you're my next door neighbor, you might think I'm crazy sometimes because I be talking. Whatever I want to say, I express it and say, this is how I want it. And I will have it done. And this is, just tell yourself the problem, write it down, and tell yourself how you're going to get out of it. And by the time you think
Right.
that, oh, I'm not seeing any solution, then you seek professional help. When you've done that relaxation, you release and you're not being recharged, you seek professional help. You might want to get some prescription to help you relax.
Right. True.
Yeah.
True. So, are there any additional resources like books, organizations that you would recommend for like further education on mental health support for like the people dealing with mental health out there?
I mean, there are a lot. Mental health is a broad, um, a broad issue, and there are a lot of helps now on the internet.
Right.
There are a lot of platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Now, if you just Google mental health organizations, you'll see them everywhere. But the one thing that really helped me a lot, um, as a Christian, is the Bible. That was one of the major books I read. I don't like reading too much, so I turn on the chapter of the Bible and then I play the audio, like let it read it to me. So I listen. I do read it sometimes, but I do listen to the audiobooks. And some people would like to refer to some books on Amazon, Amazon, Spotify. There's some podcasts too that talks about mental health and how you can help yourself.
Right.
And I can't really pinpoint any topic because I'm not trying to promote anybody here, but um, um, one other podcast that I was playing every day that my sister told me about, and that has helped me tremendously, was a podcast from my pastor. He he has this daily confession thing on podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music. Like I play it every morning.
Can you give the title, the name of the podcast, just so people can go ahead and look it up?
Yes, it's called Command Your Day Daily Confession by Dr. Vincent Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has different forms of commanding your day. And also, I do listen to TD Jakes, Sarah Robert Jakes. I don't know what her full name is, but I know it's TD Jakes' daughter. I do play some of her inspiring videos on YouTube,
Right.
and sometimes I just, you know, Google random stuff. Those are the things that really helped me a lot to go through with my mental struggles.
Right.
And
Right.
yes.
And there was, just on my own opinion, there was this one book that I read, and I can literally say like, because I'm not a good reader. If it doesn't have to do with my major or my career line, I'm not reading it. Mm-mm.
That sounds like me.
If it's not dealing with my career or like my line of major, I don't want to read it because I get bored reading. I get real tired reading and studying things that don't really pertain to me. But there is this one book that I read, and I would say that's the only book I've ever read. I know that doesn't look good, but it's literally the only book that I've ever read, and it's called "Tough Time Never Lasts, but Tough People Do." And I read that book. The crazy thing about it is, I read this book when I was in high school. Yeah, and that was the last I read. Like, I don't read, but that book is a good help for. Then I didn't know what mental health was, but we had to read it because we had a situation in church then, and they advised that everybody read that book, and that was why I had to read it. And it's really, really good. Like, the book is really good on mental health. And just before moving on, there are a few mental health organizations that I kind of looked up before this podcast, and that's National Alliance on Mental Health Illness. That's an organization here in it's a nonprofit organization in the United States, and there is also the Mental Health America. It's another mental health organization that people can reach out to when you have issues with your mental health and all of that. There is also the WHO, the World Health Organization, that is worldwide. You can always reach out to them if you got issues with your mental health and everything. There's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. That's for those who are addicted to drugs, alcohol, and the likes of it, and they need help. There is also the National Institute of Mental Health. That's another organization. There's the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. That's another one. There's a lot of mental health organization all across the world. All you have to do is just research it and you would get it. For the kids, they have the Kids Peace. It's also a mental health organization. And not to even go too far, there are like the non-profit little foundations around us that deals
Mhm.
with mental health. Like we
Yes.
have the Miradon Foundation. They're big on like abuse and women and stuff like that, but they also do mental health. They have a few of their ambassadors who are into the mental health field who can help. And there are a lot of other foundations like that would
Yeah.
help with your mental health. Even if they cannot do it personally, they would help you get people who can do it for you. They would
And
help you.
in addition, she's saying for people who are not in the United States, people in Africa, in Nigeria, I believe the Catholic Church have knowledge about those nonprofit organizations and foundations. If your church doesn't know, the Catholic Church, they can also help connect you with a professional or a nonprofit foundation that can help you.
Right, because there are a lot of all these foundations out there who would be
Yeah.
willing to help. Because
And
mental health,
Google is your friend. You can always Google
right,
whatever you're looking for in whatever country that you're at, and they're going to
right,
point you in the right direction. The
right.
close.
Because mental health is not a joke. We take it with levity, and we make it look like it's not really that bad, But I tell you, with the people who are dealing with it is a big deal. It is bad.
It is
It is bad. Cause I
more.
mean,
This topic, there's more that we
oh
can talk
yeah,
about
oh
for time
yeah. This is
sake.
just the beginning.
And we have more to talk about mental health and navigating mental health.
Right, right,
You guys need to be patient with us and always come back. And
right,
yes,
right. Cause mental health, I tell you, is a broad topic. We cannot finish. Even if we break it into parts, however long, we still cannot finish. Cause mental health is a lot. Because there's a lot of branches to mental health. And I understood this better when I started working with them. And I was like, God, I thought like, because before I started working in the mental health section, my thought about mental health was depression, anxiety,
mm,
bipolar.
there's more to
That's
that.
like, that was all I thought mental health was. Or when you're actually going crazy, you're mad, like you're actually going
And
psycho.
that's the problem with some Nigerian people.
That
They be thinking that someone says, "Oh, I'm having a mental breakdown." They just automatically think you're going crazy. You don't they crazy. I mean, a crazy. There's another form they put it. They say a crazy man that wear clothes. Like a man, you say you be crazy when wear like so somebody's having a mental issue. You're supposed to be aware
right.
about that person's. Yeah, there's something I didn't mention. That if you get to know your problem, you have to make people aware what
Right,
you're suffering. They're not gonna judge. Don't be scared. That's the
right,
stigma part. Like, don't be scared to tell your truth. Own your truth and let people know that this is what I'm dealing with. I'm living with it. And if you
right.
don't cross my line, if you don't trigger me, you're not gonna get the side effects or the
Yeah.
consequences of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
Because I
learn to
mean,
be the way I am and help me live with it and do better and get better with it, the world is gonna be a better place.
right. Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, I have no disrespect. I have had to be around somebody who had a mental health issue. And I did not know until the person told me. They was as cool as dove,
Hmm.
patient, friendly, sweet. Like, I did not realize until they had to, like, we had a conversation that led to it. And I was like, wow. Well, I am so sorry. I did not realize. And they was like, I mean, nobody has to know. If you don't trigger me, you don't gotta know.
Yeah. But
And I
how
was
am I
like,
triggers if you don't tell me? So that
yeah,
goes back to being open. Like people are scared to open up because of that stigma, and the
right,
only way you fight it is when you know that I've said my own. So when you react, people are not gonna blame you too much. Like you didn't like I didn't tell you.
right, right,
Crazy.
yeah,
I'm sorry
right.
to
You're
use that
right.
word, but it's
I
a
mean,
normal.
it's the
I told
truth.
you that but it don't trigger me,
Right,
or when
right.
they get the consequences of it. Like,
Yeah. And I want one thing I also want to say is, for the people out there, if somebody who is dealing with a mental health issue tell you, I am dealing with this and this is what triggers me, that don't mean they're incapable of controlling
of
themselves.
controlling it. Hmm.
They're just telling you, once you do this, I get triggered. And
But
what
some
happens
it's
afterwards?
to trigger you.
Right.
That's
Because
when
some people, I know
back.
some people who
You
you
take yourself
tell,
out, relax, and you go recharge and come back.
right, because I know some people who you would tell, well, don't do this because if you do this, you'll trigger me. They will do exactly what you said
The
not to
same
do,
thing.
just because they want to see what you're gonna do. And
Hmm.
now when you hurt them or you do something crazy to them, they're like, oh yeah, that person is crazy. That person got some issues. Don't no no no, don't even interact with them. No, because they told you ahead of time. So listen and pay attention. If anybody tells you this thing triggers me, don't do it. Don't test them. Because in as much as they don't want to be violent or they don't want to be dangerous, mental health issues, when they're triggered, it changes who they are. So
Yeah.
don't test these people. Don't test them. Don't test them. If they're getting help, fine. But if they're telling you this is what gets me angry or what puts me in a position to hurt you, Don't do it. Don't, just for your safety and their own safe mind. Don't do it. Don't do it. Cause I not first hand experience, but I've seen it. Just
And
to
we're
keep your life.
not saying this for you to be violent or for you to say,
Right.
what we're saying is make your problem known. Don't be scared to talk about it. Forget, like, ignore whatever people say about you. You know what you can handle.
Right.
Let people know what you are dealing with so they can know how best to deal with you.
Yeah. You're right.
And
You're right.
whenever you see that you're being triggered, violence is not always an option.
Step away.
This is the last,
Right.
least, least, no, it's the last option you should be taking. And
Right.
violence can only come in if you're being attacked.
Right.
Don't tell me when you feel attacked. No, because when you feel attacked, you have to remove yourself from the situation.
Right.
Go relax, release, recharge, and come back and face whatever that you're facing. If you think it's continuing, be it at your workplace, be it with your family, if you think it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself, remove yourself and find something else that works for you or
Right.
that you whatever you're doing.
Right. So before we go, last thing, what is a message of hope or encouragement that you would like to share with an individual who is struggling with mental health or facing stigma?
Hmm. I'm not really that good at encouraging people, but okay. I would say this. Something that I say to encourage myself is that this this is a phase that's not gonna last long.
Right.
It will pass.
Right.
All these shall pass. That's one of my friend calls it national anthem. You know my friend Tracy.
Oh
She'll be like,
yes.
that's your national anthem. I say yes. Well, whatever it is I'm going through, you have to recognize it that okay, it has started. This phase has
Right.
started. What do I do? Relax. Know that this is just a phase that will pass. The next chapter is just around the corner.
Right.
And just look forward. Be positive. Keep a positive mind.
Right.
Don't think that oh you're going to drown in this phase. No, it's not gonna drown. It's not gonna drown you. That's that stage. It's stage by stage. That stage is it was meant to be happening right now to get you ready for a
The
better
next
path,
one.
a better
Right.
phase.
Right. Right. And if
So
there is
that
one thing that I learned from this section is relax, release, and recharge. I mean, because like that's a simple way of just being sane, being normal. When you're going through it, the world, outside world is crazy. So you're gonna go into it in the morning. When you get back from it, relax. Release that bad energy or the negative energy you got from outside.
mm-hmm.
Take in a new positive aura of energy. Then recharge for the new day again. Because you're going
Mm-hmm.
back into that world
Again. Mm-hmm.
again. And when you come back, do it again. Relax, release, and recharge. And doing that every time just gets the day better. Gets gets life easier. Okay? Like it's tough, but you just
And
got to know what's right for you.
yeah, and one last thing. For people who think they've tried that relax, release and recharge and it's not working for them, I would really advise you to keep happy thoughts. What are those things, those memories that makes you want to leave, that makes you happy? Think of reasons that, if you don't think of any other reason to leave, at least think about us, that we care about you, we love you.
Right.
There are people who loves you and you cannot, even though you don't see it, but they are there.
Right.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
When you relax, you release, you recharge, talk to people.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but you know the people that really listens to you.
Yeah.
and care.
Right.
Talk to those people,
Right.
and that's help.
Well, thank you, Miss Juliet, because today we have come to the end of today's episode of Let's Just Talk. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family members, acquaintances, and everybody that you think needs to hear this. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at let's_just_talk001. We also have another TikTok page that's Let's Just Talk with Victoria. Our YouTube is going to be Let's Just Talk with Victoria. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Let's Just Talk. If you got any questions, any comments, or your 2 cents that you want to give, drop your comment on YouTube, drop a DM on Instagram, drop your comment on Spotify podcast, on Apple Podcasts. There are comment sections where you can put your comments. You can send us an email at letsjusttalkwithvictoria@gmail.com. Until we see you again next week, next time, 5 p.m. on Sunday. We love you. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a blessed week. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.